Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anush and today, as I said in the last video, today we are going to make a simple animation in Blender. So without further ado, let's get into the video. We have our screen right over here. So I saved it as video.blend. So I'm opening the file. There we go. We go in the render view and well, okay, wait a minute. There we go. So as you can see, we have the color and well, the cube move like that. So we created a bit of motion tracking, not kind of motion tracking, but we created a kind of what shall I say this, animation kind of thing. But we're gonna make a bit more animation like this. So what we do is, okay, so as we saw, we had made a simple animation. But now what we're gonna do is we are gonna delete these two keyframes. Today we are gonna make a bit more complicated animation. So let's delete all the keyframes here. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we are going to make an animation like this right on the screen. So for making this animation, we need a cube, a plane, and more cubes. So what we're gonna do is, and first we're gonna hit 0 and we're gonna go a bit behind in the x and the y axis so that we can get a more bigger, what do you say, a more bigger frame. I mean, okay, there we go. So now we get a bigger frame so that we can record it. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna take this cube a bit up and we're gonna scale it down by the z axis a bit. Now there you go. So from the x axis we are also going to scale it down, and now this is going to be the barrier, I mean kind of the pushing thing that was in the video, and then we're going to do is we're going to extend the scale in the y axis. Now what we need is a plane, so the bottom thing, and then for this we have to press shift A, then for and we enter a plane over here as you can see. So in here the plane is actually a bit of blackish. So what we're gonna do, as I said earlier, go to the, wait a minute, sorry, yes, no, wait a minute, sorry, okay, yes. So go to the material properties as I told you earlier, and go down to animation, and we're gonna change this to a bit darker green, okay, not that light but a bit dark, so that it's kind of good looking. So we aren't going to make it green, we're gonna make it bluish. Okay, so we're gonna make it dark. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, that looks like a purplish kind of thing. Okay, so we're gonna turn that base color to blue as well, and that subsurface color to blue as well. So now you can see we have to take the plane scale in the width of the cube we had. Now we can't scale a plane in the z-axis, but we can, but we will go that deep in the more ahead videos, not now. So let's scale it by the, why am I scaling with the z-axis? We have to scale it by the y-axis and by the x, no, y-axis and the x. So first all we have to do is we go in the modifier properties, and in here we have to add, no wait, sorry, not in modifier properties, sorry, oh, physics properties, sorry, we have to go in physics properties, go in rigid body, then we have this. So in the rigid body we have to select type as passive. So passive does is that it will be the whole rigid body for the whole scene, and we have to make the shape as a mesh. You don't have to make it the one but mesh. So we are going to animate, so we have untick the animated option. But if you want to animate anything, just click the animate option or for rigid body, and then now we have to go back and we're gonna mark the location. So I am making by ticker, I guess. I don't know. I forgot the video, but I guess I'm making it 3D. And why isn't my cursor moving? Wait a minute. My cursor is a bit bad, but anyways. Okay, so there we go. So now as you can see, we have took that to the back. We have to mind that it's inside the plane, otherwise it will fall off the back edge. So that's that, and now we're gonna scale it down. Control there. We're gonna scale it down, and we're gonna scale it down as well. There we go. So now I think that's better. Anyways, so we're gonna do that, and we're gonna enable rigid body. We need rigid body in every of the things we are gonna use in here. So we need rigid body over here. We're gonna set that to passive, and we're gonna make it animated and make it a mesh. There we go. Now that is done. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mark the location in here. Now if I hit 0, you can see that this frame is coming, but that's too much. So we are going to do is, wait a minute. Okay, we're gonna smaller the frame, better the view, but we need it at the other side, so we are going to take the location not in the z axis but in the y axis, and we're gonna rotate this the z axis. Okay, there we go. Now that's fitting in the frame, right? Control Z. Okay. Okay. Control Z. Okay. So we're gonna do is we're gonna go a bit ahead in the frame, so you can basically zoom anytime you want with the camera. So let's hit 0, and we're gonna mark the location of the cube. So we have marked the location of the cube, as you can see. Now in the right side you can see these things. So this cube is actually the cube selected right now, and this camera is in use. So this is what these are. And then if you go if you click on the mesh item, the triangle, then it goes to the object data properties. Now object data, so what object data property does, it's actually kind of for making the geometry and stuff of the mesh that I am using, but we are going to go in that afterwards. We are focusing on the basics right now, so let's move on. So at the 68th frame, and you might want to enable this auto keyframe. What this does is actually when you move any object which has a keyframe at the start or before it, then it automatically puts a keyframe where the cursor is. Like say now I am going to enable this, and if I move this to over here, and as you can see it actually created a frame, as you can see over here. So that is for the other keyframe. Now let's check out how the animation looks like. So let's hit 0 and let's play. There you go. So now we need more cubes. So we add some more cubes. Shift A. Shift A. And add a cube. Not a plane, sorry. Sorry for that. We're not a plane, let's add Shift A. A cube. So how to delete anything? It's just simple. Just press delete if the object is selected, or go in the scene collection and select the cube. So now we need the cube, and yeah, let's scale that down so it looks like a smaller cube. And there we go. Oh, that's a bit perfect. Okay, and a bit down from the X. Wait a minute. That looks like a kind of a pack. Wait a minute. Let's change the color. Okay. Let's change the color to, let me check. What shall I change? Red? Okay. That looks kind of nice. But anyways. Okay. So now that's done. It looks like something has actually, not like a cube anyways. Why? And but the auto keyframe is a bit trouble because it might take everything. So you might have to a bit careful. Bit be careful with that. I am making the smallest cube ever, literally. Okay, there we go. That is a perfect cube. Well, not actually. There we go. Now that's a perfect cube, as you can see. Okay, that looks good. Now what we do is we don't need to animate any of the falling objects. We just have to animate the bar. So before this to fall, we go in the world property. No, not in the physics property. Sorry, no, where the physics? Yeah, there we go. Add the rigid body, and in this we are gonna set it to active so that it's like going to fall, right? So it's going to be active, and we're gonna set the mass to 20 kg, and 20 kg is a lot to push, right? So we are not gonna take the elevated option, but we're gonna change the shape to mesh. Now changing a shape to mesh, it creates like it's not going to be hovering, it will fall on the plane, because if it's the convex whatever that thing is, convex hull, then it floats in the air, and we don't want that, and we don't also so let's check the animation now. So you might not get it when it's where viewing from the keyframe, but when you go in the 0, okay, and let's hit N, and if we play this, as you can see, it's falling down, but that is a 2-bit fast. So how to make it 30 frames per second? It's now currently 24 frames per second, as you can see. Okay, let's play this. As you can see, it was 24 frames per second. As you can see this, it's 24 frames, but we need 30 frames per second. How do I do that? So in the above view, the views layout, we have a rendering tab. So here, if we go in the output property and then select PNG format to FFmpeg and select the frame rate to 30 FPS, and there we go. Now that will be a bit slower compared to that one. So let's check it out. It's still fast, but anyways, let's take that a bit down because that's a bit okay. So 2 seconds is not that small, but if we make it to 4 seconds, what will happen? It was a bit slow. Anyways, so now as you can see, we have 250 frames in our timeline, right? So how do I add this to any 260 or 300 frames? So just go with the end option and select how many frames you want. I need 120 frames, so I did 120. So now it will be looping this animation. Check it out. So it goes for the first time, then it loops again. So now as you saw, it was looping in the sequence. Now what we're going to do is we are going to duplicate this. So how to duplicate? Just press Ctrl D. Oh, wait. So to wait a minute. So just copy it and just paste it like that. Okay. Okay, and there we go. That was one. CV, and we're gonna make many of these. So I'm gonna just fast forward this video so that you don't get bored, but we are going to go with a big one. So I'm taking it anyhow. Okay, so you can also rotate this if you want, but I'm going to rotate this. Okay, so I'm going to rotate it by the y-axis and in the x-axis. There we go. So we can rotate it if we want, and we're gonna do is freestyle rotation. So these might won't collide, they will kind of bounce off like that. So we don't need that, right? So we're gonna take these away, and we're gonna take that away as well, so that they don't bounce off. And you can see they actually kind of bounce on it because well, they are like the bouncy balls when you throw them on the ground. Okay, when you throw them on the ground, they bounce like, so they are bouncing like that. So this was our animation. Now before we move on to do anything uh, for rendering this composition, so what we do is we gonna go in the rendering. So we had selected FFmpeg video. So in the encoding, we can select any of our module, I mean not modules, but any of our extensions. So I'm going to use AVI extension because that's the best, and you have to select the output directory, and I'm going to select is in the YouTube, in the Blender creations folder. We're going to create a new folder, uh, we're going to name it as Blender. No, sorry. So we are going to save it in the Bluetooth folder, except. So we are going to save it in the YouTube folder, and we don't need the cache result because cache result actually kind of could damage your video. So we will go in the audio output, but in the later videos still. And now to render, just go in render animation and render the render view and then render animation, or just press Ctrl F12. So now this is going to render your video with the camera angle that you had before. As you can see on the screen, it is rendering. So I'm gonna just fast forward this video until it is rendered. Okay, so it might not look the same as we saw in the video frames, but it is the same, trust me. And well, I have used Blender a lot, and I've been making many animations. So we will be moving on a bit more complicated animations after in the next video. Till then, check out how this animation looks like.
And goes.